thank you for setting me up for my lesson, the Father Principle, because in our feeling nature, the Father Principle is expressed in stand by me. Stand by me. And that's how you can all be fathers out in your communities, work, school, even within families, your neighborhood. That is to stand by others. That is the spiritual principle of the Father as we teach it in unity. Today is our celebration of fathers everywhere. Although the observance began in 1910 as a complement for Mother's Day, Father's Day was not recognized at the national level until President Johnson focused attention on it in 1966, saying that it should be celebrated nationally. And then further, it was President Nixon who declared it an official national holiday in 1972. So our fathers had to wait longer than our mothers for our recognition and praise. That's not too surprising, actually. Fathers can often be not put up on the pedestal quite the way we do mothers. Of course, our families and traditions, this varies from time to time, but I think in general, it expresses something interesting that it was not declared a national observance until 1972. I was actually alive then, believe it or not. Let's begin today as we recognize fathers throughout time. A little research. In Europe, back to the Middle Ages, St. Joseph's Day was the time to honor the Father Principle that provides, protects, and guides the family. So we are going to light a candle for this general spiritual principle of Father. I want to begin today sort of in reverse order. Do we have a great-grandfather in the sanctuary today? Would he please stand? Yay, you take the cake, Don. Remain standing. Will grandfathers please stand who are present in the room? I knew it. Now will all fathers stand? I'm standing, but you'll have to ignore that. Thank you, William. We affirm, we give thanks and honor for the Spirit of God expressing through you. Please remain standing for a few moments. You have to receive our praise. You have brought our communities the provision, protection, and guidance for both our community and our family welfare. Again, we give thanks and honor for the Spirit of God expressing through you. I invite you all to join me in that affirmation. We give thanks and honor for the Spirit of God expressing through you. We also know this Father Principle is working through many people of any age and gender. People who make their concern the care and guidance of others. As our Master Teacher Jesus proclaimed, we love one another as Christ cares for us all. I now light this second candle for all fathers like my own, who have passed from this physical life, yet still are watching over us. And I light the final candle for fathers physically present who are a very present help. Consider these symbolic candles and realize the light of guidance and the warmth of care that they do radiate, because that is the spiritual truth of all of you who have served life in this way. And David joined us as well. So let us say amen for the love expressed through these individuals, and you may be seated. The famous humorist Irma Bombeck, and I know my generation remembers Irma, once recalled a friend asking her for advice. She wrote an advice column and books of advice. The friend was a single mother whose adult son was about to become a father, and she asked Irma Bombeck, "What do I tell him that a father does?" Now, Irma's father had died when she was a child, so she had to compile all that she had learned from others' stories. So she told her friend what a father does that is important. He shows up for the job in good times and in bad times. He's a man who is constantly being observed by his children. They learn from him how to handle adversity, anger, disappointment, and success. He won't laugh at their dreams, no matter how impossible they might seem. He will go out in the middle of the night when one of the children runs out of gas. He will make unpopular decisions and stand by them. Yet when he is wrong and makes a mistake, he will admit it. He sets the tone for how family members treat one another and how they treat all people in the world, no matter how different they may be. By example, he can instill a desire to give something back to the community when its needs are greater than the individual family. But mostly, a good father involves himself in his kids' lives. A father has the potential to be a powerful force in the life of a child. I advise you, given the opportunity, grab that chance. Maybe you'll get a greeting card for your efforts, maybe not, but it's steady work. Once a father overheard his son pray, "Dear God, make me the kind of man my daddy is." Later that night, the father prayed privately, "Dear God, make me the kind of man my son wants." And so we thank Irma for her advice gleaned from others. As we each remember stories of our fathers and those who guided us in helpful ways, we can focus on the quality of this father principle. One way that Jesus described this was in his parable or teaching story of the Good Shepherd. It's recorded in the 10th chapter of the Gospel of John in this way. Jesus said to his disciples, "Very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. The Father principle, according to Jesus, is a close human and spiritual relationship, a protecting and guiding presence, and a teacher of abundant life. Jesus, living in our time, might have often sung that wonderful song, "Stand by me," because he was describing that quality that the Good Shepherd stands by his flock, is concerned for their welfare, protects them, and guides them to good pasture, to a place where they may be nourished. At another time, he called it being provided with the daily bread, all that you need for an abundant, rich, meaningful, good life. I can't help but think in describing these principles, stories. And they're my stories, but I hope that they may help you recall stories of your own father, grandfather, a father figure in your life that was always there for you, always encouraging you, always making a way, always helping you find a way to go forward in your life. I start with one of my earliest memories when I was a little kid. You know, one of my favorite holidays is coming up, 4th of July, with all the fireworks and excitement and colors and explosions. Well, one 4th of July, I was probably, I think, 7 at the time. And my father, who, being a doctor, worked a great deal throughout the week, said this Saturday, "I'll be home early in the afternoon and we'll go buy your fireworks." Well, that morning, it began one of those Missouri summer thunderstorms and tremendous rain. And it was pouring and pouring and pouring. And my father came home, and I can remember the window in the house, standing, looking out at the weather, and my little lip quivered with disappointment. Everything was ruined. And my father came in and said, "What's wrong?" Said, "Look, we can't get our fireworks." "But son, I promised you fireworks." So out in the storm we went. In our area, fireworks were sold in big tents right on the ground. So we went to this one, I can still see it on 40 Highway. And we're walking through just rivers of water running through the tent, stomping around in the mud, looking at the beautiful banquet, buffet of fireworks. And he saw that I had an abundant supply. And we went home and waited for the 4th of July, which was fortunately dry enough for fireworks. But his promise was something that I remember to this day. We're talking over 60 years later. "But son, I promised you, and I will fulfill my promise." Many years later, as human life goes, I became an adult man, and my father became older and older. And one of the last of his little outings was to come with my mother to the Founders Church, Unity Temple in Kansas City. And he wanted to come and hear me give the membership class to a group of people. And so I did that, and if you knew me, I loved telling unity stories and spinning the tale of how unity developed. And after it was over, I walked my parents outside the building, and my father, with his cane, just before he had to go to a wheelchair, said, "Son, if this is what you want, to be a unity minister," something he didn't quite understand. He wasn't a religious man, but he taught me integrity and what is good and true. It was just not expressed in an outer way in the church, although whenever our church needed something, they called Dr. Stacey. So many things, the musical instruments, the choir robes, handbells, windows, on and on, were quietly and without any fanfare given by my father. But he wasn't one of those in the Sunday service up front shouting and going on. He worked quietly behind the scenes. So he said, if you really want to be a unity minister, your mother and I will stand by you. We'll mortgage the house if necessary to pay for your education. Of course, that wasn't quite necessary, but he did see to it that when he died, before I started school, he left me his collection of 500 uncirculated silver dollars. I sold those through a good man on the Antiques Roadshow who got top dollar for them, and I had all the money I needed to pay for my ministerial education. So once again, even though he was no longer physically present, he fulfilled, I promised, and I will carry out my promise. That kind of guarantee, stand by me, I will do what I promised you. And finally, I will always be watching over you. And after he passed, there were many times, quiet times, when I felt emotion welling up. And being an individual, I thought, oh, this is all about me, all about my feelings. But I began to understand, I think your spirit, Father, is looking over me right now. And that was where the emotion was coming from. An awareness that although we leave this world and set aside our physical bodies, our love is continuous. Our relationship with that individual that we called Father, perhaps they were blood related, perhaps not, but they were the one we could count on. So I'd like us to prepare for a time of inner imagery as we honor that individual we considered Father in our life. Honor and also cut them a break. If they disappointed us in some way, we have the opportunity to have a little understanding and give them thanks that they tried as they were able. If you remember that movie on Golden Pond with Jane Fonda acting in the movie alongside her real father, Henry Fonda. And she was struggling. Their relationship had been difficult. And she was having a hard time until her mother, played by Katharine Hepburn, came over and said, remember, he's doing the best he knows how to do. Give him a break. So I invite you to turn your attention within, relax your body, close your eyes if you choose, or soften your gaze so that you can enter into the richness of your soul, where memories live, where true respect and honor is expressed. We begin with inspiration from these words of Khalil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but not seek to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. And so with the power of our gift of imagination, of being able to create inner vision, I invite you to call that special someone, father, stepfather, friend, relative, that one that you could count on, that stood by you. And use your imagination to visualize him as a child. And acknowledge his unique life beyond your story. He had a beginning that didn't include you. That is how time works. And give gratitude for all he learned of life, all that he held as his values, his strength, his gifts, that one day he would have the opportunity to share with you as you entered this world. And if necessary, forgive him in this moment of how he grew up and lived. Perhaps your values weren't exactly the same as his. I invite you to release any judgment, any harshness toward him. And now allow your imagination to move through time and visualize this individual when you were the child, as he grew older. Acknowledge the gift that he brought you. If you imagine yourself in the teenage years, perhaps you knew everything. Now's your opportunity to realize maybe your father knew a little more than you imagined at that time. Perhaps some of his rules or experiences as you were growing bothered you at the time. I remember my own words. Dad, you're so controlling. And over time, and with a more generous heart, I realized what I called controlling. For him was his guidance and his great concern for me that perhaps I not suffer some of the obstacles that he suffered as he grew up. I can let those limitations go and know that he loved me. And in the words from that movie, remember, he was doing the best he knew how to do at the time. And now allow your imagination again to move through the years and to see this individual in his later, even his last years. As he aged, and give him, through your soul, some love. Life circumstances may be that you have to step into care for him. Roles reversing. And just hold him in your heart. Give thanks that if he has left this world, he is still present in your soul, still loves you, still tries to do what he can do. Now perhaps it is calling forth in your busy life a remembrance of what is true and just, to treat others as you would want to be treated. Thanks, Dad, for the many lessons. And if you need to, take this time to forgive him in these later years. Perhaps caring for him became burdensome to you. The burden wasn't his fault. You've got a great heart. Forgive him that he aged. And certainly don't hold any resentment that he left you by his passing. Again, it was not his fault. And what is most essential, that Father principle expressing through him will always be with you. True connection, a true standing together, does not require our physical bodies. It requires the generosity and goodness of our souls intertwined. Almighty Father God, we give thanks for those that you brought to bless our life, to protect us, to guide us, to indicate the way forward whenever we were confused or doubtful. Thank you, God. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for caring for me. And gradually allow your attention to return to this sanctuary, this group of friends. And as you transition your focus back to outer activity in the world, remember that love, that honor is always in your soul. Just because you open your eyes and go about your day, that love is still continuing, moment to moment, day to day, year to year.